Hey, Amanda, you there?
Yes, I am, but is this a different link?
Which one? What are you talking about?
I clicked the one you emailed me, but I was
Yeah,
on a
it's the
different.
same one. It should be, no, it's a different one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, can you, so what is this one? Because I need to send it out to everybody.
Yeah, I will. Hold on. What is,
Okay,
how do I copy links on Teams?
I'm not sure.
Hold on. Shit. Yikes. Share invite, copy meeting link. All right. Let me email you. Is that okay?
Yeah,
Thank you. I'm sorry about that.
nope, it's okay. That's why I didn't want to send it out to everybody yet.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't. Okay. There you go.
Okay, I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna leave and try what you sent me. Wait, oh, it's not in my inbox yet. Okay, new link. I'm gonna leave and come back to make sure it gets me here.
Thank you. Hello.
All right. Okay. Megan, Liz.
Make sure you share your video.
I am sharing my video. What do you mean?
On Teams. So there you go. I can see you now on the stream. Okay,
Oh,
so the stream is up and live and I see you. Okay.
Okay, great.
So
Does
we're
that
sharing your
mean-
screen.
So the link that we put on the website is right though, because that's the YouTube channel, not
Correct. That one has not
Okay.
changed.
great. And this is already recording.
I'm already recording. Yes.
Okay, great. Perfect. I'm gonna put myself on mute and just get the link out to everybody.
Okay.
Eddie? Hey, Eddie? You're on mute.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Will someone else be able to share the screen or will it need to be me?
Probably you, unless I give anybody else permission to.
Okay.
You want me to? Who do you want me to make a presenter? I can make anybody a presenter. You want me to make Liz a presenter?
I think, Liz, do you want to share your screen or would you like me to?
If you can, that would be great.
Yep.
Are you working from the live one?
Yep. Here's the slide we can use. Okay.
Just don't forget to turn your camera off, Amanda. When you share your screen.
Why?
Well, you're right. You can keep it on. My bad. I'm sorry.
Let's check it out.
By the way, since this is new for us, will we know if so this is streaming
Already
on the YouTube channel. It's already, so we won't know if anybody's on the other side. If they opt to participate, it's just open. open streaming? Is that how it's
We
working?
will know. Eddie, you'll be able to see, right?
Yeah.
1 sec, guys. I'm going to put myself on mute.
And just to confirm, Amanda, I should be seeing a PowerPoint that says at home with CMS, your agenda. That was just up, correct?
It was, and I took it
Okay.
down because I realized I need something else up while we do it. So I stopped sharing. And
Okay,
then
I just wanted to
we'll
make sure it was the right thing I
reshare.
was seeing.
Amanda, if you want me to share, I can.
I'm good. I just have to, I just need 2 minutes to find something that I want to put on my other screen. I'm going to leave Bill Falk in the waiting room for a minute. And then I'm going to minimize this. When I share screens on something like this, I like to pull it out so it's not one of many tabs, so that if I accidentally click somewhere else, it's still only sharing the right thing. So now share screen, window. All right, are you all seeing the presentation? Great.
Yes.
Oh, I see all the CMS people can get in right away, and the others when we admit them.
Amanda, I'm just popping my head into this virtual room to make sure you have what you need.
We, I think, are set, and you're going to be in the other one just to make sure
I'm
that
gonna
anyone.
hang out in the other room for a few minutes to make sure we don't miss anybody, and then I'll come back.
That sounds great.
Okay.
Then I will do a quick welcome, but Liz, I'll pass it off to you to lead the way. But good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for setting aside this time, for making it here, for continuing to support us on this advisory council, and for following the link changes in the last minute. We're so glad you're here. For our advisory council subcommittee on financial education. Liz, I will hand it to you and I will drive, but please have me advance or send me back the mic as needed.
Sounds great. Thank you guys so much for joining. And what we want to do is, as we jump into this, we do want to make sure that we're reviewing with everybody about a little bit more about what Megan included in her email, that this is being streamed currently. Amanda, is there anything else you want to be able to say about that procedure?
Yep, I'll just share a little bit more. So as Megan said in her email, we learned that our committee and our subcommittees are, we need to follow the state's open meetings law. So here's what that means. We have to notice the meetings on the calendar that Megan linked for you. We notice them between 48 hours and a week before the meeting. which just basically means we include the name of the meeting, the date and the time and the location. That's it. And that means we notice, but there's no requirement to actively promote or market them. So we will be doing the noticing only. We don't expect anyone to join, but the public can observe. They are not permitted, to participate unless we invite them to do that. And that is the same of an in-person meeting or a virtual meeting. So we'll similarly post our in-person meetings and people can come, but they do not get to participate. And then our virtual meetings are live streamed. People can watch, they do not get to participate. And the other thing it means is we have to prepare minutes available on request. Just the dynamics of what this means for the virtual meetings is that we have our colleague, Eddie Perez, who's off camera, but that he is what you see as the CMS live stream. Thank you, Eddie, for joining us. And he'll help us make sure that we are live streamed while the rest of us are doing the work of the committee. If somebody does join to observe, he'll let us know. So if he doesn't let us know, it means that we are live streaming to an empty audience. And we are going to ask people not to use virtual or AI note takers just because we want to make sure we know who is and who isn't here. And we are taking those notes that we can share back. And the live stream function, we just want to be upfront, does automatically record. There's no way for us to turn it off, but we will not be posting. We will not be posting recordings.
Hey, Amanda, if I may interrupt, this is Eddie.
Yeah.
Just so you'll know, there's two people watching this. Well, there's only one person watching the stream now. That's me. So there was two. Somebody dropped off. So it's just me right now.
Okay. Thank you for letting us know. That was a perfect test run. And the only thing I just wanted to add there is everything that we do in CMS is already subject to public records requests. And so in practice, this really isn't going to change things unless someone comes and actively observes. If there are any whole group questions, we can take them. And otherwise, if there are anything you want to check in with Nancy or me about, or Megan or Liz one-on-one, we can also do that later. Okay.
Thanks in the group. Okay. All right, so I will take this back over and actually, if I can, Megan, if I can ask you to just talk about the meeting poll and the coordination components.
Liz, Megan isn't here.
She's over on the other. She's on the other side. Sorry. Well, we'll let her jump back in and we can come back to this. But some of the big things that we wanted to talk about here was one, like we mentioned at our last meeting, is really important that we know everybody's got a lot going on. You're all leading and taking. You've got a lot going on, and so we wanted to make sure it was easy to access the materials that we're using for the CIC, both for the large meetings and for the committee. So we have set up a shared drive, and everybody should have access to that. If you do not or are having trouble accessing it because of firewalls or anything like that you have at your companies, please let us know. Is there anybody on here who has not been able to access that? You're welcome to put that in the chat. What we're going to start doing is, so that everybody can stay in the loop, is we'll put meeting notes in those folders, meeting, the content, and that way you don't have to scramble for your email every time we're sitting down to try and do this work. But again, if you have suggestions or feedback to help, that would help you, please just let us know. And once she comes over, we were going to take a poll, but I need Megan for this component. So I'm going to flag this for us to come back and we'll just jump straight into the meeting components. Megan's hanging out on the other line just to make sure that folks know to come over to this one. So after we kind of closed out from our CAC meeting and reconvened as a team internally, we realized there were some really consistent questions across all of the subcommittee groups. And a lot of it's around just trying to get our arms around any data that we have that would help demonstrate the need that exists within CMS and how that compares to what's in the housing supply, just to help inform us along this work. And so what we wanted to do was open with just a couple of slides to help recap some data that helps address some of the questions that were asked. And then after that, we're going to jump straight into reviewing the tactical priorities that we outlined at the end of the committee and begin to outline how we're going to continue to update those and keep those moving forward over the next couple of months. So let's go to the next slide. So kudos to Megan, even though she's not on the call, she did an excellent job summarizing this data. So for context, there are around 18,500 employees within CMS. Of those, around 8,200 are certified teachers. There was a survey last year which had a response rate of over 95%. And so when we look at this data, we can accept that this is representative of the certified teacher population. Within those certified teachers, 43% identified that the housing is a barrier to continued employment within the district. And so it's around 3,500 individuals. So we wanted to help recap this data. We do not have survey data on the hourly staff or on other salary staff, which includes like administration.
Liz, Can I just jump in and say, this is one of the data points we shared early and we shared often. And it's something we've asked twice now and we'll ask a third time this year, that we're so proud of, that it went from 61% to 43% since we launched At Home in CMS to the survey point last year. So that felt great. And to that number, it still feels awful that 2 out of every 5 teachers feels like housing is a barrier. So I just wanted to call out, because I realized I had a chance to put that on here and I forgot that that 43% does represent a change from the initiative and a lot of work to go. Liz, sorry, thank you.
No, that's great. If you can go to the next slide. I think we already covered through this, but what we have up next is that there will be another survey where we continue to hope to improve on the questions, just digging in to see where folks are and what the needs are in the community. So, and I think one of the important notes actually that was at the bottom was there were some questions around what are the different designations of staff. So we've got on the bottom of the slide, the hourly staff includes teaching assistants, custodians, cafeteria maintenance, bus drivers, and after school enrichment staff are the bulk of what's in that category. So we can go to the next slide. This is some extrapolations to try and help understand the potential demand for homeownership as well as for renting. And so I don't think Megan has gotten back on here yet. She's got pretty good explanation of how we came into this data, but we estimate, just to give everybody a broad understanding, around 3,000 is the target for providing opportunities for homeownership, and between 1,600 and 2,000 is the approximation for stable rental housing options. So those are the targets. If we can increase opportunities in those 2 buckets. And again, this subcommittee is focused on the educational components and the systemic components of helping people to be guided to those pathways. But we thought it would be helpful for everybody to see this.
And I'll just add to keep in mind the funnel that we were looking at from the prior page. So this is teachers, but out of our whole 18 to 19,000 staff, there are many, many more. But we have been getting this question of what is the size of the demand that we need to meet. And so this will tell you, out of those 8,000, 9,000 teachers, depends the day and the time of year when we count that number. These are the teachers who would need these supports.
So let's move on to the next. We also wanted to quantify this data, just showing the typical base salary for a certified teacher for based on teaching years. If anybody's familiar, there's a very complex chart that determines teacher pays based on tenure, various certifications that the teachers have obtained. But this at least gives a general idea. So if you set the housing budget at 30% of income, then the last column is what gives you the general monthly housing budget. So for someone who's got 1 year teaching, and this is of course if they have a single income household. Of course, if folks are married, they and with a partner with income, then they can combine forces, but this is what the individual teacher can contribute towards their housing budget. So between $1,200 and $1,400 is a good approximation of the target housing budget for a teacher. And as you can see, compared to market rent, we are still, I think the single income households are going to be really, really stretched to continue to provide or be within that 30% of income target for their housing expenses. So we'll continue to provide. I think the question at the bottom is to prompt, just making sure that we're keeping that information in front of everybody in terms of what the market looks like in terms of access. But we all know that it's really difficult to provide units in those price range. And I think we got a note, if everybody saw that we've got 2 observers in the YouTube streaming channel, so welcome. Okay, we can go to the next slide. Okay, so our goal during this meeting for the committee is to review the goals that we discussed at our CAC meeting in January, to look at the summarized tactics that we came up with, give a chance for you guys to provide input if we missed anything, and then to kind of walk through any progress and next steps for each of those tactics. So let's go to the next slide. What we went ahead, this is the goals that we presented at the last meeting. The 2 primary goals for the Financial Education Committee here is to expand financial education programming and to build more partnerships with ramps between financial education and homeownership. I think we identified a sub-segment within this that we haven't yet added to this slide. We'll talk about in a minute, but it's just increasing awareness among the CMS population to make sure that they're aware of the financial education programmings and the partnerships that are being offered. And so that's kind of a subset within number 4 of expand financial education program is increasing awareness. So you'll see on the next slide, we've broken that out into 4A and 4B. So let's move this forward. This is going to be hard to see, but I'm going to zoom into each of these on the subsequent slides. But 4A, which John, your name's at the top on this one, is around increasing engagement and awareness. And so we've got 4 tactics that we identified under that. One is the T1A, which is implement mandatory intro at home and CMS, was something that we identified as a potential way to increase awareness among staff. It's just to record a video showing how to use the resources and what's included, and rolling that out among other mandatory annual trainings. So that's something that's being considered. The second tactic was trying to help increase awareness through expansion of information among the public. So using news channels or podcasts or other things to help spread awareness of the at-home and CMS efforts. We'll talk about that a little bit because we do not have any champions for that, but I think there's also some discussion to be had around appropriate timing for those efforts to make sure that the efforts towards teacher awareness is priority, and then this comes secondary. Megan.
Are you intending to share screen, Liz, showing the live version? Or do you want me to?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Okay. I think we've had 1 or 2 people who've committed to do things since we prepared these slides and I filled them in the live version. So,
Oh, whoops. Okay. Well, we'll update that in just a second. And so you've got.
So April had
Okay,
said
so
she'd
April.
do the second tactic. Thank you, April.
Can you see? I just went to the live version. Did it go with me?
It did. Yep.
Great.
If you can zoom out a little, we
excellent.
might be able to see it better. Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so April has offered to do tactic 2. Perfect. Then I'm adding her to the slide that you'll see in just a second. And okay, then let's go back to this, because what I'm going to do is just kind of bringing everybody back around to what we discussed last time before we jump into these individual slides. So, so there we've got the increase awareness. And then the second is we discussed the idea of trying to develop a reward system to incentivize participation in the programming. We talked about the idea of a lottery system so that every time someone participates in the financial programming that they get a lottery ticket. And then if we fill it with benefits from the community, it's a way for the community to engage in these efforts. Then that we can put some high reward items in here and help create an incentive for participation in the financial education. So the tactic 2A was someone leading developing the system, whatever that system looks like. And then 2 is filling that system with benefits from the community, such as additional down payment assistance, rental assistance. We talked about a free home, seeing if there's an opportunity and identifying that there's going to be a home build challenge coming where maybe we could get those homes donated to this system. Furniture, free car repair, all sorts of things like that. And I think we had Rodney and Rod sign up for that tactic. Is there anybody else that has interest in this? If we go back to T2A, the implementing this reward system, and it's okay if you don't, but if as we go through this, if somebody feels like, oh yeah, like I want to be the champion for aligning that, please just let us know. And recapping 4B, this is the primary one, which is expanding the actual programming. And we identified that an earlier barrier is helping people see what that path looks like, the path to homeownership and financial independence. So making sure that we're developing content or elevating any content that already exists to say, this is what it looks like to achieve homeownership. Here are the tools that people use, and here's what, so we broke this into 2. As one is the first one, which is tactic 1, which is what does buying a home look like financially, and identifying examples of purchase price, down payment sources, monthly mortgage. And then the second is developing a case study showing what's this formula for success and what does buyer readiness look like, and making sure that those are outlined. And I've taken the first tactic, and oh my gosh, why am I saying that? I'm totally butchering that. The second tactic. And then 5 is building more partnerships with ramps from financial education to homeownership. And so just trying to identify ways that we can create more opportunity for the teachers that are pursuing this to increase transferability among the different financial education programs that exist within our ecosystem, and trying to find a way so that there's just reducing barriers. I want to pause for a second. Oh, Nathan from Habitat is championing that. Does anybody feel like there's anything major that we missed or is off on these tactics that we identified from our last meeting?
Yes, I do want to go over like some of the, I guess, initiatives or what we would use. I think I don't want to get too broad. I like the rental assistance and the free home thing, but the free home thing was going to be like this phased approach. If we get, more people participating in the program, I think we'll be able to like actually leverage that with some home builder to say, this is what we've done, over the last 12 to 18 months. And we want to get some benevolent home builder to maybe like raise their hand and say they may do a free home. But the furniture and the free car repair and other stuff, I want to see if we can narrow. Like I would rather, when Rod and I come up with a plan to get enough money to offer some of these teachers to participate in the free rental assistance thing, I think I'd rather like keep that focus narrow so we can just say that we can add stuff later, but I want to like keep it as narrow
And
as
this was,
possible. If we
yeah,
can.
the intent of writing those out was just
To have it. Okay, cool.
was
That's
just
cool.
putting out some of the ideas for rewards that we had identified, not that they all have to come in at the same time or specifically what they're going to be. They were just, some of the concepts that we had come up with. And I think even though like the intent is that each of the person who signed up to champion a tactic, that doesn't mean that they're the only person that's going to be working on these things as we continue to develop out how these tactics are moving forward. Folks across the committee can help contribute ideas or garner participation from others. So I think that's totally okay. Did someone else have a question?
Not a question. Good afternoon. I was just writing in the chat that I can support 4BT1 with Liz, if that's still
Awesome.
vacant.
Thank you. That'd be awesome. And I'm really excited to share, I don't have it in the slides yet, but I have made tremendous progress on getting at least one example of what a home buyer profile has looked like for a teacher that received wonderful support to achieve their goal of homeownership in the past year. And so we'll go through that in just a second. Is there anything else? Okay. Then I'm gonna copy and paste something into the slide deck. So if you'll go to the next slide. This is how I'm proposing that we're gonna go through this, is I've moved a tactic to each slide, and I figured we would just talk through today what progress do we have and identify like what do you envision for each person who's got a tactic? What do you envision as your next steps? What do you need from others on the committee so that we can identify where we might need to go between now and our next CAC meeting? So I reordered these a little bit. Just 4B is a little bit easier. We're going to go through 4B, A and B, and then we'll go to 5, and then we'll end up with the engagement at the end. So this was the tactic that I took. I have been working with True Homes to learn more about the tools that the teachers in their Doorway to Prosperity program, what the various tools that they've used. I'm still working on, we've made sure that we've taken out any names or addresses or anything like that so that the information is secure, doesn't pose any risks of sharing it, too much information. Let me see if I can get this to actually copy and paste. 1 second, because I'm going to give you guys an example and see what, oops, that did not work out, did it? Hang on. Let me try one more time because I figured this might be easier than sharing my screen.
Liz, are you making changes right now?
I was attempting to put in the table, but it's probably not going to be a good idea.
It's not going to show unless I refresh.
Oh, okay. Well, let me try this.
I can try, but it's not going to be a great ongoing strategy.
Okay. Well, it's only for this slide that I was going to attempt to do it. Let me
don't-
try one more thing. Hang on. And you'll have to bear with me, guys, because this information is coming in hot off the press, as they say. I'm just going to leave it big for a second. Can you refresh? Is it showing? Okay.
Mhm.
Can folks see this? I'm going to walk you through it. But basically, this teacher was able to purchase a home through True Homes. It was a townhome, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, for around $285,000. On top of that, they had closing costs from various sources that added to about 3% of the home purchase price. So the total amount to achieve this home was $295,000. They used like an incredible capital stack of down payment assistance sources. They used 2 different sources from the state agency, which is called NCHFA. They used House Charlotte and House Charlotte Plus, which is a match. So together that's almost $80,000. They had a grant of $30,000 from Truist that was specifically geared towards teachers through the CMS Foundation. First Presbyterian of Charlotte created a Community Heroes down payment assistance program and awarded $20,000 to this teacher. And then True Homes has a Doorway to Prosperity program where they provide $2,500 in down payment assistance to each of their teachers. So in total, they received $191,000 in down payment assistance support towards this purchase price. They additionally had lender credits of $600, seller credits of $200, prorated taxes and other adjustments, which I'm still digging into on the around $2,000. And the buyer equity was $500. And so this teacher took on a mortgage amount of $100,000, which resulted in a housing payment of around $1,100. The HOA dues were around $250. So their all-in monthly housing expense is around $1,400 a month. And so I don't have the ability to provide what that percent of their household income is. I don't have their household income, but and that's confidential. But I just wanted to show you, this is, to some, probably feels really complicated. It's a lot of information, but it does go to show how many tools there are in our community. But it does take experts to understand how to layer these things, and it does take participating in the financial education programs to be able to lever these. There's a lot of other things that this buyer probably had to do in order to support their their credit score and DTI, and that's in the second profile that we want to be able to outline. I don't have that information yet, but I wanted to be able to demonstrate to you guys what I've been trying to work on behind the scenes and gather. So I want to pause for a second and let you guys ask questions. Observations, thoughts, overwhelming. Rod.
Yeah, no, I think this is helpful. I think, and maybe it's not necessary, but an example of in Charlotte and outside of Charlotte. So Huntersville, if you're in Huntersville, you wouldn't get House Charlotte dollars. Just to show those. And I don't know, the other thing I was thinking about is, would it be helpful or not to talk about, the mortgage product? So
Yeah,
what interest rate they got, how many years is it, et cetera. But no, I like the idea of being able to kind of show, particularly in this example, when somebody got $191,000 in down payment assistance, just to show what's possible. So from that perspective, I like it.
Absolutely. So I'll add that to the list of comparing this to an example that's outside of Charlotte. Details on the mortgage product, which is already on my list, to make sure that we gather that. Marta, I think you've got your hand up.
Yes, thank you so much. This is a prime example of how all the down payment assistance can be stacked short and what was necessary to get this person in this home. We know from previous slides that, you know, if you've been a teacher for 5 years, that income is like $52,238, right? And if we know that the maximum debt to income ratio that would be allowed based off of the DPA program's requirements is 43%, then we know that the total debt that this person who would have an income of $52,238, their total debt could not be more than $1,872. So if you take a look at their monthly housing expense after everything that was applied, if there was just a single person with that one income, right, of the $1,872 that's allowable in expenses, $1,381 of that is for housing. So that means that the rest of their debt could not be more than like $490. So that $490 would have to encompass a car payment, credit card payments, student loan payments. So what we had encountered is that for a single person that has just that income, and that's what we were running into a lot, their debt was far more than $490. You know, so that's, as an example, what, you know, we're looking at. Even after you apply an incredible amount of down payment assistance, there's a huge group of folks that still could not qualify.
Yep, and I would love to be able to identify. Well, one, I think it would be good to continue working on this particular example and get into understanding the or calculating what that maximum debt would be based on this scenario, or even just a scenario. We could build a sample and make sure that we're building that out, but understand what those other barriers are and whether or not there's products or solutions that we can offer. There was something that I think it was Ron from True Homes mentioned to me, that there was a lender, I want to say it was Self-Help, that was providing solutions to refinance auto loans that was helping with this process, but I don't yet have information on that. But I'd like to be able to get more information on that, or so we can add that to our list. But for credit counseling and reducing other debt obligations. Anything else on this, or other questions that you'd like to see as we continue to work on gathering information on what does buying a home look like? My plan is to get multiple scenarios. There's not everybody is going to qualify for taking advantage of all of these products, and so I'd like to show a couple of different scenarios, and I'm working on getting that information. Bill, I see your hand up.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna comment in addition to the rest of the items. For one, it's amazing how much down payment. I don't think in my years of doing, I've seen this much on one. It's a testament to everybody that worked to put that together. But it kind of, to Marta's point, it'd be really nice to be able to provide with the example what the requirements for each one of these, and what, like, who the contacts were for House Charlotte or Doorway to Prosperity, and then maybe match those with the different lenders that will work with those, because not all lenders will either. So just a note on that.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and Bill, good point. Ron over at True Homes, I believe he's created a matrix.
Oh, okay.
Of exactly that, of all the DPAs and contacts and some of their major requirements per DPA.
Okay. Excellent. And again, I'm excited for this progress, and the goal is that we can demonstrate examples to CMS's teacher population to give them hope about what have people actually accomplished, not just the sample of what could be, but what has been done, what have people accomplished now that we've got the first 5, or not the first 5 teachers, but 5 teachers that we know of that closed in this community recently. I think Ron shared with me, he's working on tallying it up, but I think they may have served 17 teachers total last year, something like that, across their entire portfolio, which is really exciting. So we'll continue working on putting some samples together so people can see the different paths that are available to them. So I'm going to use that to do a time check. We are at 4:41. So we've got about 20 minutes left. And what I'm going to do is go through each of these tactics. And my hope is that we can continue to do updates, between and work on continue to fill out these tabs and share them efficiently with everybody once we start to populate. But I think we've got under 4B was what does buyer readiness look like? Is there anything that you want to add about where, if you guys have had any interim conversations? I think Marha and Bill were working on that together to show a profile of target's credit score and debt to income ratio.
Yes, and yeah, my name is Marta, M-A-R-T-A.
Marta, thank
Yeah,
you.
just
I'm so glad. I was going to ask you
okay.
to. Thank you, please. Thank you.
That's all right. That's all right. Marta is a beautiful name too. Right? I'll take that.
I don't know where I got that from.
That's all right. Yeah. So Bill and I, and Bill, please feel free to chime in too. We were talking about this because building the profile is rather difficult. Particularly on the lending standpoint and all of the regs that we're bound by, we have to be careful about, how is it that we, portray that. But what we can determine are just some bigger, broader pieces of education around like what we've been talking about here and related to like the matrix. So what does readiness look like? If you're interested in taking advantage of down payment assistance, then you have to meet a 43% debt to income ratio for some programs, so 45% or up to 50% debt to income ratio from other programs. And as far as income goes, it's we're looking for stability and continuity of income. A 2-year work history. Some of the programs will have that requirement too. Some programs will have a requirement as far as assets go that you can only have a certain amount of assets. 401k retirement assets is okay, but other ones, outside of that, if it goes about a certain amount, and I can't remember exactly what that is, maybe $30,000, something like that. If you have more than that, then you may not qualify for the down payment assistance. So. Aside from that, as far as what does buyer readiness look like, the preparedness is, credit scores, it may be different among a number of different lenders, right? Some can offer loan programs that are much lower credit score than perhaps even like Truist can offer. So I think Bill had a really good idea about just being able to give access as an advisor. I think I'm saying this right, Bill, but please chime in, for teachers, if they happen to have any questions, maybe one of the things that they do is they take a look at the case study and to see how is it that they might see themselves in that potential case study. And if they have any questions about how they might fit within that case study, then they would have access to a field of different advisors like Bill or myself or anyone else. Bill, am I portraying that correctly?
Yes, very well. The difficulty, we've both been a part of creating some of these things for our own institutions, and with mortgage lending, you've always run the risk of you don't want to deter any potential buyers. So even though it looks like you're giving positive information, you never want to deter someone from coming in or looking at that and not applying. And there's so much compliance that goes along with it. I think when we sat down and started kind of thinking about providing something to, at home with CMS, it would be really just something that was already created by either our institutions or different ones as well, to make sure everything was, fair and responsible. So I think we kind of ended with, we had a great conversation early in the beginning of the week that with, providing the same financial awareness that I think, and maybe bolstering that what you're already doing, but then instead providing an outlet for them to meet with someone in their area to go over. So maybe just providing what options they have, financial institutions or mortgage brokers that would be willing to kind of cater their needs towards CMS employees.
That's great. I think one of the, I wonder if I'm really glad for the awareness of, we don't want to present any information in a light that could deter someone from saying, well, I don't fit any of these things, or it's not possible for me. And so making sure that we can continue to communicate clearly to folks that, like, there's not a one size fits all solution, but here's, where you should go, so that we can still present some case studies of a variety of what has worked for folks. So I think that'll be good to make sure that we get y'all to review those, to make sure that we're presenting that in the proper light. One question I have around the access to field of advisors is making sure that we identify, like, what already exists, and is there anything that we might be doing that could create conflict with the normal pathway into any of the other financial education programs? Or I don't know if there's, Rodney, for y'all's work, if any of that overlaps, or
I mean, we provide the information, but I don't, overlap. I don't think so.
okay.
So Rodney, and I think you mentioned it last time that there's a call tree that people call in, and forgive my ignorance from it. That's like, if they're interested in any of these products, then they're routed through that, and then you send them different places, or is that completely wrong?
So the way that the program works, we if they are trying to get information about the at-home the CMS program, we take those calls. They come in, they have filled out a survey, and then we kind of figure out which direction they need to go in, whether it's home buying or rental assistance. And so when they call, we dig in a little bit more and try to figure out exactly where they should go and which programs might be the best fit for them. We generally give them multiple options, and so we'll let the vendors know who we suggested that they talk to, and then generally they'll have a handoff and go through whatever vendor that we've recommended. That's kind of in essence how it goes.
Okay. And so that's, and again, I just don't know what's available. Is there a list of vendors, or how does one become a vendor, or?
Yeah, so we have a list of vendors, and I mean, it's really as simple as, I guess, talking to Amanda or Chancey and like getting in that list, I think. And then Amanda, stop me if I'm wrong, but I mean, if we have new vendors, generally they go through you guys and y'all will filter them to us, just like we're doing this new program with the United Way Upstream. Like that came through
Yes.
Chancey, and now that's another service or vendor that we recommend for folks who may be in emergency situations.
Thank you.
Okay.
And
So-
Rodney, excuse me, I'm sorry. Is there a way for the vendors then to be able to alert you if there is an opportunity for a home buying education event? Like if we're getting ready to launch a virtual home buyer education event. It's going to be like an hour. That it's virtual online.
Yeah.
So is that something that vendors can then send to you periodically, and then it's another resource for the teachers at any given moment? They can see who might be having something in the area, and they can.
Yeah. I think the better, and again, Chancey and Amanda, I think that you guys are kind of the first in, or the best way to get information disseminated to the teachers. I think if new information or new opportunities are out there, I think we can echo kind of the information once they call in. But I think that the first point of contact is going to be through CMS. So, if some new program comes out, I would get it to them, and then they could disseminate it to the teachers, and also alert us that this is happening, so we can kind of reinforce it once they call.
We would, and so I would say anyone, either if your institution or an institution you engage with or about is offering something, please do let us know. Typically what we'll do, there's sort of 3 at least routes we share, and they are balanced in size and how targeted they are. So we share communications, we batch them, but we share them with the entire 19,000 CMS employees. So we'll send like, hey, this is our spring lineup. We've got these webinars, save the date for this housing fair. Here's a program that's offering, financial education seats exclusive to CMS, that sort of thing. So wide audience, but not targeted. Much more targeted, we have 2,000, 2,500-ish people who are on our listserv effectively, who have engaged with us at some point. And we send those things also to them directly. So those tend to be much higher hits. And then we would also share everything with the Boundary Street team who runs CMS Host. And that would be much, much more narrow, but they would have someone who might say, I have a need, and they would say, I have a specific program that is a perfect fit for you. And so they would be able to tailor it that way. So right now, there are other things we do on occasion, but those are our 3 main routes to share communications.
So one of the things that I'm thinking about as we talk through these is just if we continue to try and develop a way to create lottery tickets or incentivize people to take these steps by participating in an advisory phone call or reviewing case studies. Those are all opportunities for us to think about, how do we capture those steps that folks are taking or getting into the queue? There's so many different ways. I just want to put that little plug in for us to think about in that. And I'm marking that down in our notes. But I think for next steps for this particular one is it would be nice for us to be able to I guess get a list from Ron Staley of that matrix that you guys mentioned that he has. And I don't think that we have anybody on here from DreamKey, but I imagine they probably also have resources or tables. So it would be good to reach out to them to see as the leading down payment assistance advisor what kind of charts and tools and things like that they may already have outlined that we can direct people to.
Liz, this is actually a moment that I can plug DreamKey and down payment assistance. They ran probably our best ever webinar last fall on that very topic. And so we have asked them, it was very widely attended and incredibly clear and helpful. So they're reprising that this Saturday, actually. So because you said that, I was like, oh, I have to come off mute and tell everyone that. And we've been promoting that with our staff.
That's wonderful. Do you know if they record, are they making those recordings available to folks?
We do.
Okay. Let's make sure we include the link of that out to the CAC so we can all kind of make those available to everyone and help share and disseminate those links. That's awesome. So in case you've got other educators in their sphere, they can help spread the word.
Hey, Liz, we have about
yeah.
5 minutes left.
We do. All right.
And I'm not sure if you guys got a chance to do the poll on the March meetings because I was in the other meeting. So I've dropped that, and I want to give you time to wrap this up, but I want to direct everyone to that as well so that
Nope,
we can pick a
I'm
date
glad
for
you
when our
brought us
committee
back
will
around
begin.
to that because we've said we were going to put a pin in it and come back to that. So if everybody can take a pause before we end the meeting and click on that. Again, my primary goal for today was to recap all of the goals and initiatives that we outlined at the end of the last meeting, give you an update on the tactic, and then give you guys a place where a framework where you can update and continue to kind of brainstorm and put things on there. So make sure that everybody's clicked on the link so you can open it. Let's go back through. Let's go to the next one. And just see while everybody's filling that out, is there any updates that you want to provide on the transferability tactic? Nathan, I think you were working on this. I don't know if you've.
Yeah. Chris sends his regards for not being there. Crazy week of the snow. I'm not being here right now, just catching up at school. So we're doing he's digging internally, pulling out references of formerly taught financial literacy things, such as the Dream Key webinar, which you two celebrated, ours at Habitat with Money Matters that we've done before as well. In trying to identify some other ones he's not had, those are about the only two that he's heard from himself and also from his colleagues. So not much there. We are still interested in figuring out where are some other ones, such I know up in Kannapolis, they have Prosperity Unlimited as a resource for foreclosure prevention. Again, the goal is if you're taking classes over here, why won't they work for somebody else, and trying to merge that together to expedite and whoever's process for home ownership.
Excellent.
So if you have any, send them my way.
Speaking of, while we have you, Nathan, the if Habitat has a profile of a buyer under your program or those kind of criteria or something like that, that would be incredible for us to be able to add to our library.
Okay.
Thank you all for your live polling. March 17th wins. Is that St. Patrick's Day? I think that might be St. Patrick's Day. So we will have a St. Patrick's Day meeting of this committee again. And stay tuned. We will send out one calendar invite this time. So look for that to come into your inboxes after our meeting.
I know we are at time. And next time we'll be able to shift straight into some of these other objectives. Does anybody have anything burning on the other tactics that we haven't had a chance to get to? Any updates or thoughts that you want to be able to share with the group? We can go back to the strategy slide 12, Amanda, if you're able.
But I can also add, since we're almost at time, Liz, that all of these, this slide deck is not yet in the shared file that everyone will have access to, but it can be. And more importantly, the spreadsheet that has all of the tactics and the boxes to fill in is in that folder that any of you can get to anytime. You do have to sign in, and if you have any trouble with that, you can message me or Amanda and we can troubleshoot it. But that's available, so you can peruse it at your leisure.
Okay. I hope this has been useful for everyone. We're still getting our legs under us, and so we want to try and make sure that this time is fruitful for everyone. And really grateful for your participation. We also had talked about whether or not some of these in the future might be in person, which we're still open to that. We just, with the snow and the ice and the timing and everything, we knew that that was probably not wise to try and change this particular meeting, but we're still open to moving these in person whenever it suits folks. Before we break, and if you need to drop, it's totally fine. But I want to just go to on the engagement side and ask John. Is John still on?
Yep, I'm still here.
Is there any, did you get a chance to think any more about the mandatory intro to at home, whether it's mandatory or not, but an intro at home and CMS?
Yeah,
tool?
Nancy and I discussed it, and we're still socializing with the superintendent.
Okay. Great. And I think, does it make sense to everybody? I mean, I added T1B to that list that said, obtain airtime. And I know April has graciously raised her hand to champion. I do think we would want to talk about timing. I think it's good to go ahead and develop a list of avenues that we think would be fruitful for being able to increase public awareness. But I want to make sure that we're mindful of when that's done.
We're also, Liz, we're not just sitting around waiting for that one thing either, right? So we're looking at a whole bunch of other things that we can do in terms of even road shows out to schools, and having the superintendent who does a lot of skip level meetings and a lot of just virtual meetings with large constituents. Just mentioning it over and over and over again. So we'll we're looking for every opportunity to talk about it. So
great. And if you want, like, we can tweak this tactic a little bit too, and just make sure that we're and how we express it on this slide. But it would be great to be able to just add those to the slide, any of the things that you guys are working on, that so that we can share it with the team. But that's great.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Hey, it's April. If you want to pull me in for anything, I can help, like from the education working group standpoint with the CLC. And also I'm on Classroom Central's board, and they see teachers all the time.
Exactly. I've been talking to Karen as well.
Good.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, whatever I can do to help, just let me know.
Yeah, I think I really do believe that it is as simple as every opportunity we have when we're speaking with, whether it's teachers or staff,
Yep.
to just ask the question, are you familiar with at home and CMS?
Yep.
And if they say no, point them to the website, you know? And I find that, unfortunately, I find people every day.
I'm with you.
Yeah, we're in the day and age of information overload, and
exactly.
And sometimes just personal conversations with folks are the most effective. Just being able to talk to them about it. So I think that's awesome. The only one that we didn't really talk about was the lottery system. And we can table that one for the next. I know that's a long-term goal, but everybody continue to think about the intent there is just to create an incentive and try and source a group of incentives that come from the community that we can pass on to teachers in the form of additional down payment assistance support or rental assistance or any kind of thing. People love, we all as a community love our teachers. And so giving people an avenue to pour additional blessings in on these, important civil servants. And so I think that's part of how I view this, is just creating a platform for people to be able to share things with teachers, while also providing an incentive for them to take advantage of the tools that we're working so hard to give to them. So any other thoughts or questions? All right. Well, we will get this stuff out to you guys so we can continue to start to work in these frameworks. We are open to feedback. We want to make sure this is useful for everybody. So please, if you have feedback on the slides or formatting or suggestions, we're working this out in the walking. So, you know, just continue to keep an open stream of communication with us, and we'll continue to adapt. So thank you guys for working on this important initiative with us. And thank you to anybody on the YouTube channel for taking the time to listen in. All right.
Thank you.